Formula One on ITV, sponsored by Toyota.
Second race in succession then. Ralf Schumacher has taken pole position. It's an all-Williams front row.
Schumacher's won the last 3 Canadian Grand Prix. It's Ralf up front this time. Ferrari playing catch-up round the Gilles Villeneuve circuit. Thankfully, it is Canada dry for race day in Montreal. Hello there, good afternoon. Here's the story so far. Torrential rain for qualifying. Result, domination for the cars on Bridgestone tyres, including the Ferraris. Yesterday, dry track, total reversal. 7 Michelin runners in the top 10. Absolutely delighted to have Alan McNish alongside Tony Jardine. So, Alan, who's got the advantage this afternoon?
Well, at the moment we don't know because the clouds are rolling in. The circuit is dry. However, saying that if there is a drop of rain, then it does switch completely to the opposition that run the Bridgestone tyres. But I would say right now the emphasis is on the Michelin runners.
At the moment you fancy the conditions, and of course on those Michelin tyres is Ralf Schumacher. Won here a couple of years ago and determined really to continue that real swell behind the Williams team at the moment.
Yeah, he's saying it's his turn. He's going to win here in Canada. But he said he took it easy into the first bend, but using the power of the BMW engine. It's a big power circuit, this. But also the fact that the team worked so hard on the setup specifically for Canada at Silverstone during the tests. He said he felt a real buzz from the team, a real energy from the team. And the team were really, really hungry now for results. And of course, Juan Pablo's been joking with him and say, well, you take pole again, but I'm going to take the win again. So the rivalry is already there. And as Sir Frank Williams has said, there's no bad thing getting the rivalry whipped up between them again. As long as they can get through that first bend, okay, that should be fine.
It's a tight first bend. What do you feel about when Pablo Montoya, how much of a boost will he get after winning in Monaco, Alan?
A lot, because it was 2 years since he won his last Grand Prix, and that's a long time when you've been on pole so many occasions but not had the victory. And now I think he's really into his stride. He was feeling the car better, and he actually kept his foot into it when it was dancing around more than he was ever before.
And Montoya and Ralf Schumacher going side by side for the first corner. Collusion between them or what?
No, I don't think that's
really
the Williams style. I think they just go for it. The one thing that they will be remembering is in the US Grand Prix last year, the two tried to overtake each other and both went out. Patrick Head was very annoyed, but they will allow them to race.
Okay, but Montoya really, having done so well in Monte Carlo, he was a relieved man. He was so enthusiastic about things, and he's got the taste for victory now.
No, he certainly has. And also the Williams team has more of a taste, as we said before. They worked very, very hard with a car at the beginning of the season that wasn't that competitive. Now it's much better. It's actually stretching its legs on this long, straight circuit. And so I think they're in a very competitive situation this afternoon.
Sure, Kimi Räikkönen's our World Championship leader, but slap on the wrist for what he did in qualifying.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. It's a great shame, obviously, for the World Championship. He's going to struggle from the back there to try and hang on to that 4-point lead now. But he said he was surprised by the amount of understeer that he suddenly got going into the centre S there, and caught him out as he caught the curbs on the inside, and then, you know, quite an indiscretion on the wet grass there. And banged the back wing and so on, and they had to abort the lap.
What do you feel about the one-hit qualifying, Alan?
I actually quite enjoy it. I think it shows the driver's characteristics quite well. Certainly with Kimi, that was the first time he had gone through that corner. However, he has made mistakes on 2 occasions out of 8 in the qualifying and started from the back. And to win a World Championship, you can't afford to do that.
Your teammate, Fernando Alonso, I mean, we really like him up here. He hasn't made too many mistakes this year, has he?
No, he hasn't. He's been very, very good, and he's driving just on his natural feel. The team have got a fantastic support around about him. There's a lot of experience there with him, and he's just doing what he does best, that's drive.
What sets him apart as a driver? What do you particularly admire about Alonso?
I think that he's got an old head and young shoulders, but on those young shoulders he's got a lot of spirit inside him, and he's got a lot of determination, and that's something that is really getting the team buzzing as well.
Yeah, well, it's going to be half-time in F1 2003 after this race. Coulthard, Raikkonen, Fisichella, Michael Schumacher, Montoya have all been winners. It really is a compelling Drivers' Championship. Raikkonen's 4-point lead, as we've been saying, threatened by the world champion Alonso, Montoya and Ralf Schumacher, all in shape to make up ground on the leaders. Fisichella, he's a Montreal specialist, and Jarno Trulli really hampered by poor qualifying performances. OK, then, Tony, the Williams pair leading the charge to that first corner. Chat us through the grid.
Well, third career pole for Ralf Schumacher, and the first time the pair have been together on the front row since Nürburgring last year. But can they keep the rivalry in check and get through that first bend? Michael Schumacher right behind them there in third. Not his best qualifying performance, he said, but Alonso a strong performance, as we've seen, in fourth place. Rubens Barrichello fifth, locked up and flat spotted the tyres, and alongside him and up alongside the gods is Mark Webber in the Jaguar, looking very good in sixth. Olivier Panis seventh, looking for his first points of the season. Jarno Trulli did a good job in the spare Renault after that crash in the morning. Cristiano De Mata ninth, and helping Toyota to their best combined grid of the year. Frentzen overcoming crashes and engine problems for a good top 10 in the Sauber. David Coulthard lost half a second through that last corner when the back stepped out. Alongside him, Nick Heidfeld in the Sauber. Pitsonia 13th in the other Jaguar. Jacques Villeneuve 14th. He said it would be stronger, the race performance, than in qualifying. Verstappen delighted in the Minardi in 15th place. He's ahead of Fisichella, who made 2 uncharacteristic errors during his lap. Button, loss of grip, struggling against the Michelins, he said, and Justin Wilson a good clean lap for the Brit. Ralph Furman held a big slide towards the end, but flat spotted a tyre as well. And blunting his title challenge at the back, Kimi Raikkonen.
Watch out for a 21st car. We almost always see the safety car in Canada. Well, a financial row that simmered behind the scenes in Formula One's been aired in public over this weekend. Minardi claim they've been promised to not receive around about £5 million, this part of an F1 fighting fund. Louise Goodman has more.
Yeah, the whole idea of a fighting fund was first mooted back in January as a means of helping out the privateer teams like Jordan and Minardi. Now, on Thursday, Paul Stoddard launched a scathing attack on some of his fellow team principals who he felt were blocking him from receiving a share of those funds. Yesterday, there was a further very interesting development. Stoddard revealed that he will now receive a cash injection, not from the fighting fund, but from Bernie Ecclestone, who's bought a share in the Minardi team. Now, we're going to be talking to Paul about that later on. First of all, let's grab a word with Eddie Jordan. Eddie, obviously you were another person who was due to receive some money from the fighting fund. Where does this leave you? Is Bernie going to give you some cash as well?
I wouldn't think so. I think the main thing that everyone wanted was, we were concerned, Paul's plight has been well known for some time. The fighting fund, there were different viewpoints from a whole lot of reasons, and the people were very strong in their opinions about that. But the one thing that Bernie, and which he does continually, I must admit to, that he came in to help Minardi at a time when they are absolutely desperate to receive this. And the good thing is that there will be stability, and a lot of things that were upsetting people have now seemingly got sorted out with Bernie yesterday, and I think that was massively positive.
Thanks very much, Eddie.
Thank you.
Yes, well, back at the sharp end of the grid, we've got a very empty Williams engineers room. Of course, they're all about to make their way to the grid. Let's have a quick word with Sir Frank Williams. So, Frank, important day for the team. Any late worries?
I always like to have something to worry about. That's quite natural. We think we're in good shape. Worry, of course, about Ferrari and Alonso. Coulthard maybe running a long strategy as usual. It comes from behind. But I think we've got a competitive car here.
What about Ralph starting from pole? Is it about time he won this race, or do you think Juan's going to do it?
Well, the trouble is, in a way, you might imagine that both drivers at the same time think they should win this race. Our worry, therefore, is they don't have each other off on the first corner, but they've been spoken to. they're reasonably adult. It's quite silly of them to take themselves off. I think they'll get round that corner, okay, if they're still in front.
And finally, Frank, your hopes and expectations for this Canadian Grand Prix?
We need to win to re-establish our self-respect, if you like. Monaco help if we can keep the thing going. Be great for everybody back at the factory at Grove and all our partners.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Alan, Sir Frank saying there, the drivers have been spoken to. Do they put the old earplugs in or not listen when they get instructions like that?
I like the word reasonably adult. I think that was very good. No, basically, obviously, they don't want the two drivers to lose the race in the first corner. You can't win it there, but you can lose it. And so they will be told to just not fight each other, to make sure that both Williams BMWs are first and second going into turn 1.
A quick word from you on that Minardi situation, Tony. It's hard to speak briefly about it, I know.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult, but Paul is isolated to a degree. He's fighting for survival, but he could be a pawn in a greater political game leading up to a big World Council meeting. And what I fear is the fact that Bernie, having invested seemingly into Minardi, Paul could be moved on at the end of the season and lose his grip on the team. But he says, if that's a sacrifice I have to make in order for the team to survive, I'll do it.
OK, we will be talking at Paul Stoddart Live in a few minutes' time, but now let's take you around the 2.5-mile circuit. It really is a car breaker, this one. They go at over 200 miles an hour down the straights. In fact, only Monza's quicker at the end. The Champions Wall will claim the careless. You're on board with the pole sitter Ralf Schumacher. It's a drying track here in Montreal, and Martin Brundle's going to talk you around.
Let's have a look at Ralf Schumacher's second consecutive pole on this 2.7-mile circuit. Short pit straight, a right kink into the Senna S, 180 miles an hour, down to just 60. Turn 2 immediately ahead of you. Ralf quite cautious at this early stage of the lap, but it's neat and tidy. A quick spray from the left-hand side tyres as he touches some water, but it turns in nicely to 3. 4's good, close to the wall. Let's listen to 5. Not a hint of a lift, but 6 is right in your face. Must get the curb on the left-hand side. And 7 opens up, but you must be a little patient on the throttle. A narrow, longish straight, then it's a bit bumpy. When you see the bridge ahead of you, that's the braking zone for turn 8. Again, you must hook in early, and it releases nicely in turn 9. A gentle left curve down to the hairpin, 185 miles an hour, and brake very hard all the way down to first gear. Hug the inside, just 50 miles an hour. Don't waste time going too wide there. Straight line, this little left-hand kink. Treacherous in the rain. No problem on this lap. Building up then to 210 miles an hour. See what it looks like. And just after the Casino Yellow Bridge, there'll be brake marker boards on the left. Braking at 90 metres into the final chicane. Mullering the curbs, mind the wall on the outside, and drift to the middle of the track. The start-finish line is ahead of you. You're on pole.
Ralf Schumacher is on pole. You went around the circuit, what, 46 times, didn't you, on Friday in the drive? What do you make of it?
The circuit itself is actually long straights combined with little tight chicanes. The important thing is you've got good braking stability in the car, and your car can ride those curbs. We saw Ralf hitting them very, very hard, especially in the last one, but he's really helped by the good power of the BMW engine.
Good, thanks very much indeed, Alan. You won Le Mans, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, we're going to cross to Le Mans now, where we've had a Bentley 1-2, and in the second car, our own Mark Blundell, along with David Brabham and Johnny Herbert. Hiya, Mark. A bit tired, are you?
Hello, Jim. Yeah, a little bit tired. We haven't really got much sleep here. We've been busy for the last 24 hours.
375 laps. How many of those did you drive? How many of those were you awake for?
Actually awake for all of it, but didn't manage to get any sleep. But I did 3 triple stints. So I did most of the running out the guys. But at the same point, everybody done a tremendous job here. We just had a little bit of bad luck against us, but bad luck at Le Mans pays heavily.
And Bentley's first win for 73 years and a 1-2. Have the celebrations started already over there?
I can assure you there's plenty of drink flowing at the moment. So, yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be a little bit worse for wear when it comes to tonight.
Alan and Tony said, just mentioned to him, seconds first of the losers.
Yeah, well, don't worry. I've won it before back in '92, so I've got the big trophy. It's all in hand.
Well done, Mark. You have a good time. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
All the best. Thank you.
OK. All right, now we're going to talk live to Paul Stoddart, who joins us down there from the Minardi motorhome. Paul, I saw you have a very public row with 3 very important figures in Formula One, Frank Williams, Ron Dennis and Eddie Jordan, and you said you were totally disillusioned. Now, it was a couple of days ago. How can you repair that situation?
Jim, I don't think I have to repair it. Actually, what was happening on Friday was regrettable. It was forced upon me into a position where I had no choice. I had to withdraw my support for the changes to the 2004 technical regs. I knew that was going to come out publicly, and I felt that we should tell the whole story, tell it quickly, get it over and done with. And if they don't like that, then that's their problem, really.
But do the big teams and the big manufacturers really want a team like Minardi in Formula One?
Well, I think they do. I mean, the whole essence of this argument was about the need to protect 10 teams in Formula One. I mean, at the end of the day, Max, very bravely, I think, as the regulator, did a fantastic job on January the 15th to improve the support of Formula One. And we've all seen that this year. We've seen some fantastic racing. We've got 2 championships that are very close. Part of that package also was to actually keep 10 teams in Formula One, because to not do that would have actually destroyed the very fabric of the Constructors' Championship. And it was a fundamental point of agreements made on 15th of January, and that was my issue with Ron and Frank, not so much with Eddie.
Minardi are going to survive. Are you going to survive after this season?
Absolutely. As many of you know, we've got an association with the most powerful name in motor racing, Bernie Eccleston. Bernie does care, he is passionate. He built this up over a quarter of a century, and he invested in Minardi yesterday. We're here for the long haul. Are you going to make it up with Ron Dennis? To be honest, my door's always open to Ron and Frank, and really, we're going to get on with the racing, and that's what we're here to do today. And your drivers are in good shape. Say again, Jim? Your drivers are in pretty good shape. They've been doing a fantastic job. All the politics are going on, so let's get the politics behind us now, and we're out there to re-race those McLarens today. Good luck, Paul. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Jim. All right, well, now it is a competition time, and the prize is a race suit signed by drivers. Olivier Panis and Cristiano D'Amato, both starting in the top 10 for today's race. All you have to do is tell us who you think won last year's Canadian Grand Prix. Was it A, local favourite Jacques Villeneuve, B, world champion Michael Schumacher, or C, British #1 David Coulthard? A, Villeneuve, B, Michael Schumacher, C, David Coulthard. To enter, call 09065 899 199. The calls last a minute. They'll cost you 60 pence. Or you can text your answer to F1 space A, B or C 84188. You can also enter via the ITV F1 website. The prize again, a racing suit signed by Toyota's Cristiano D'Amato and Olivier Panis. And the entries must be in by midnight this Wednesday, June the 18th, on the ITV F1 website. A live wedge chat with Louise. That's on Wednesday lunchtime at midday. Ask the team. James Allen in the hot seat. All the details, itv.com/F1. OK, you might be hearing 1 or 2 cars. Just under half an hour to go to the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. That is just final warm-up taking place behind us, and delighted the conditions are really good for today's race. Well, covering the Formula One season involves flying, we reckon, over 70,000 miles a year. That's not enough for our Martin Brundle. En route to Canada, he dropped off at an airbase near Washington for a high-speed experience of aerial acrobatics.
There are nearly 400,000 active service personnel in the US Navy, but today there's 2 more. I'm joining Jordan's Ralph Furman for a chance-of-a-lifetime ride in 2 F-18 Hornets. We travelled to the Patuxent River US Naval Training Base on Chesapeake Bay near Washington, D.C. Normally, up to 24 of these £35 million F-18s will be based on an aircraft carrier. We had many hours of briefings and tests before we could fly.
What kind of hypoxia is there? There's actually 4 different kinds. There's a histotoxic hypoxia, anemic, stagnant, and hypoxic hypoxia.
First, into the pressure chamber.
Engineer, please ascend the main accumulator to 8,000 feet by 5,000 feet per minute, level and bend.
Next, understanding the ejector seat system.
Eject, eject, eject.
Followed by basic parachute training. Finally, into the swimming pool, fully kitted out in 25 kilograms of equipment, including life jacket, G-suit, helmet and boots for a number of very demanding tests.
That was good fun. It was one bit quite hard. Thank God we finished, and looking forward to tomorrow.
And finally, we could confidently stroll out to the world's best fighter plane.
Here we go for takeoff. There's a good run down in the first corner. And we're off the deck. 12 to feet away. Way closer than I expected. Could reach out and touch him. It's like the first corner in Monaco.
We're going to be separate for a little bit, working, and then we'll rejoin here to the south. Okay, whenever you're ready, I'll pass you the controls.
I have control. Full stick left or right?
Yep, or if you want to go partial on the stick, that's fine. How much roll you want?
I'm cameraman, soundman, and pilot right now, so I'll give it a go.
Okay.
Oh yeah, like that.
Okay, we'll have to stop that. Yep, because we're limited to how many times we can do that. No big deal.
Okay. How many times can you normally do it?
You can only do it once, technically.
All right.
But that's
okay.
fine.
Broken the rules already. Martin, can you hear us?
I can hear you, Ralph. Speak away. What do you think so far? It's a pretty amazing experience. Yeah, it's just effortlessly fast. The big turns are great. Like, grab your legs a bit with the G-suit, but I've got to say, it's just everything I expected so far. Yeah, it's an amazing experience, apart from driving the Formula 1 car for the first time. Okay, go break it, go break 4 seconds after.
Now we're going into a bit of combat. They're going to go, Ralph's going underneath us.
Okay, good.
Bit of negative G over the top. Now we're pulling big G in the G slate. Feel is grabbing my legs. He's above us now. We're going up. He's gone underneath us. Okay, now we got him in our sights. Well, I reckon we could have got rid of one of the Jordan drivers there without too much difficulty. So we're going to try a 7+ G. I mean, we put 4 in a Formula 1 car, but that is lateral G. When you're moving side to side, you don't get that. This plane will fly in balance. It's not going to give you lateral, but it's going to give you a massive imbalanced G. And all the blood wants to rush down to your feet. So the suit on my legs is squeezing the blood back up.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Here we go.
500 knots. There's 3, 4. Count up to 5 carefully. Okay, good. Hook now. 5. There's 6, 6.5, 7.2.
That hurts your back. That hurts everything.
And the 7.2s for you.
7.2 G, and you have to go. You have to push into your diaphragm, and you go like this, trying to just trying to support your body. And it started to push on my spine as my back was being forced. My backside being forced into the seat. That was. I'm pleased I did that, but I wouldn't want to do that every day. Pax River Naval Base. Beautiful sight at the end of a magnificent flight.
Our Top Gun Martin's come down to earth, straightened himself out as well. Next, both feet firmly on the ground for his grid walk. Hello again from Montreal. Jenson Button returning to the track for the Canadian Grand Prix after that horrible crash in Monaco. Here he is with Lou.
Jenson, nice to have you back on the grid after that horrible accident in Monaco. Now, I know you've had some twinges in your back during the weekend. How are you today? You fighting fit?
Yeah, I'm fine actually. Yeah, we've done quite a lot of work over the weekend on my back, and it's fine. Yeah, we'll see in the race, but yeah, it feels fine. It's only a muscle spasm anyway.
You're going to have a bit of a tough race today, though, aren't you? Particularly from way back here, 17th on the grid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, it'll be pretty interesting. But you know, here at the first corner, there's normally so much going on. I'm looking forward to it, really am, and I think we've got a good chance here, even though we're so far back. I think our qualifying, you know, wasn't great, but you know, I think our fuel load is quite good for today. So I'm pretty happy, and I think we're going to be able to overtake, which should be good.
This is a pretty tough race, not just on the drives, on the cars as well. Have you got any worries on that score?
It's very tough on the engine and also on the brakes, but no, it should be fine. You know, it's very difficult to say with the brakes because we haven't done any laps yet. You know, the only laps I did was in warm-up yesterday and also in qualifying. But yeah, I think it'll be okay. You know, we've got a pretty good. I've got a pretty good engineer, so I'm sure everything will be sorted out.
Have fun out there.
Thank you.
Well, Mark, how's the car looking on your way to the grid?
Well, it was amazing because the Williams were saving lots and lots of fuel. I was trying to conserve as much as possible, but couldn't go a great deal slower.
So what, they were in like 5th gear, 6th gear, just trundling around?
They were in 2nd. They were just cruising, so it's a fine line. Obviously, we want to feel the brakes and everything's working okay. Also, Cosworth need to see some full throttle time to make sure that all the calibrations of the engines are fine. So, yeah, apart from that, just saving fuel and getting around and pulling up on the grid.
So, what does that say to you, that they need to extend that first stint as long as possible?
Well, yeah, they're trying to go as long as possible. Everyone wants to say, you know, it's not a race to how to get to the grid, so it's free fuel if you can save it.
Thanks very much. Have a good race.
Mark Webber starting 6th at the Canadian Grand Prix. Rubens Barrichello starting 5th. Both Toyotas starting in the top 10. Let's go down to our high flyer on the grid, to Martin.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the grid. A lot of interesting things happening here at the moment. There's a bit of a scrum going on because Ozzy Osbourne has turned up. First time, certainly, I've seen him in Formula 1 being interviewed at the moment by German television. We'll try and jump in there in a moment. But a lot of amazing, a lot of interesting things happen too on the racetrack. You'll be very pleased to hear. Why is that? There's a big tailwind now down the back straight. We saw them doing 210 miles an hour yesterday. They're not allowed to change their gear ratios anymore now. Cars have been in parc fermé until the green flag lap, and we could see cars on the rev limiter at the end of the straight. A big change in the conditions then since qualifying itself, and the track is very, very green. I want to have a word with this guy because he's complete and utter fruitcake, as we all know, and we love watching him on the TV. But let's see if we can. He's got a very big minder here at the moment. Pasquale, can you sort anything out for us here? We've got 6 or 7 million people trying to listen to what Ozzy's got to say. Ozzy, British TV, good to see you.
Good to see you here.
Sharon had some good news this week, I hear.
Yeah, I'm currently writing a musical about the life and times of Rasputin and Mad Monk, and we just got they're allowing it to go on Broadway.
All right, I'll try and think of a question for that answer. Did you bring the dogs with you?
No, they're all at home shitting.
Excellent, thank you very much. I think we'll move on. Now, what else can I tell you about the race today? Because you might be slightly more interested in that. The track is very, very green because it's been raining again overnight. The cars have done so little running in the dry conditions, and there's always a big issue here with regard to brake temperatures and brake wear, and the teams have no idea what's going to happen this afternoon in that respect, or with the tyres. When the track is green, you get a lot of wheel spin and you can get blisters on the rear tyres. Michelin seem a little less concerned about it than Bridgestone, so we're going to have to watch that through the race too. Let's see if we can find anybody who can give us a bit of technical feedback on that. Ross, have you got a chance for a quick word? Now, I'm just telling the viewers that we've got very little data about brake temperatures, brake wear, fuel consumption, tyre blisters. What's your feeling?
Well, we'll be racing on the hoof. We're getting all the data back to the garage, and we're going to have to see how it looks and advise the drivers. So it's true, there's no information on tyres, no information on brakes, no real information on the opposition because the track was green yesterday. So it's going to be a race of exploration.
It is indeed. So, Will, do you think Michael and Rubens for you and all the other drivers are going to have to just take it easy when they've got full, higher fuel loads? And are you going to have to assume you're going to have problems, or just go for it and gauge it from there?
We have lots of temperature readouts, so we can see straight away if the temperatures start to get too high. So we can advise them within half a lap if they're starting to overstress the brakes or the tyres. So they need to push, and then we can tell them to back off if necessary.
All right, so you can monitor it and then adjust it. You don't have to creep up on it.
No, I think you could lose too much time if you did that. So.
Can you beat the Williams today?
I hope so. I was quite surprised yesterday and disappointed, but the track was so unrepresentative. I hope when the track settles down today, we can have a proper race.
All right, and the fact that Kimi's at the back of the grid, will that affect how you drive, how your guys run the race?
I guess it makes us a little conservative because, of course, it's an opportunity to get some points in. But my guess is he'll probably come in the pits and fill the car up and go for one stop. And that means if we get a safety car or something happens, he could be in a very strong position.
Okay, thanks, Rod. That's a critical point. We're all expecting Kimi Räikkönen to start this race from the pit lane. And there's JYS. Jackie, how's Jaguar looking?
Yeah, they're looking very good. Mark's well up, 6th position in qualifying. Good for the first corner. The business usually happens a little further back. So if he keeps out of trouble, I think he'll have a good race.
Yeah, there could be some drama. Kimi apparently is going to go into the pit lane to start the race. Are Jaguar concerned about tyre blisters or brake wear or overheating?
No, I think they're fairly comfortable at the moment. I think brakes have always been historically a problem here, but I think we've got round that now. But only at the end of the race will we know. It's always at the tail end of the race the problem shows up.
You've just come in from Detroit working on Ford's 100-year celebrations. You like coming to Montreal?
I love it, but you know, it's when you come to a race like this you realise how good Silverstone is, with the crowd control, with the pedestrians, with the cars getting in. I mean, quite honestly, Silverstone streaks ahead of here, but it's a great city to come to. Montreal really put their back behind it, and so of course all the city fathers do it. It's a great event.
Thank you very much, Jackie. See you soon. So, a lot of unknowns then. We're all standing on the grid wondering what's going to happen, and that even includes Ross Brawn, who's running the 2 Ferraris this afternoon, and we've got to look forward to see what happens. So, talk to you shortly.
Thank you very much indeed, Martin. Ozzy Osbourne's first and I would say his last appearance on F1 ITV. I hope that didn't affect your enjoyment of our build-up. Alan, I don't want you to talk about Ozzy Osbourne's dogs. I want you to talk about what you think of the upcoming Grand Prix. You had a big guessing game going on down there.
It is, and especially in my opinion on tyres, because all of the teams usually have a lot more dry running, but here, due to the rain on Friday and on Saturday, they're limited to 15 minutes, so approximately 9 laps. They have no idea what their tyres are going to do. However, Renault, Jaguar, Jordan and Minardi ran on Friday morning. That was dry, so they do know what the tyres, the brakes and everything else is going to be like.
And Ferrari, an air of confidence a bit about Ross Brawn there.
There is, because I think that when the track rubbers in, it always gets quicker and quicker towards the end of the race, because when we talk about a green track, they haven't used it. Very harsh winter here. Engineers walk around. Alan Permain, one of your engineers, walked around. He said the curbs are all cracking, the tarmac's all cracked. Winter has only just finished, apparently.
It's the official start of summer this weekend. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Tony. A race of exploration. The words of Ross Brawn, that narrow first corner beckoning. For Ralf Schumacher, the 2001 winner, and for Juan Pablo Montoya, fresh from giving it the full Monty in Monaco. Alonso, Alan's teammate, poised in the fast-starting Renault. Michael Schumacher, remember, he could go top of the Drivers' Championship for the first time in F1 2003. An absolutely beautiful day as well. Big hitters like Räikkönen, Button, hometown boy Villeneuve and Coulthard all having to come from behind. Now, we normally see the pace car here because accidents do happen. Canada doesn't do dull.
The race on ITV, sponsored by Toyota.